You're too easy to read, and that's why you're losing. Every time someone can predict your next move, your next reaction, your next emotional state, you hand them the blueprint to control you. They know exactly what buttons to push. They know exactly how much attention will keep you hooked. They know exactly when to withdraw to make you chase. Here's the truth that's going to hurt. Your predictability isn't kindness. It's not authenticity. It's not emotional availability. It's a weakness that everyone around you is exploiting, whether they know it or not. The paradox is this: your nervous system craves predictability for safety, but your power, your attraction, your absolute control over your own life lives in strategic ambiguity, in being unreadable. This isn't about being mysterious for the sake of it. This is about reclaiming psychological sovereignty. This is about becoming someone who can't be mapped, manipulated, or managed by anyone else's agenda. Let's start with what makes you readable in the first place. Your patterns of reaction are your tells. Every single time someone criticizes you, and you defend yourself immediately. Someone withdraws attention, and you reach out to fix it. Someone tests your boundaries, and you fold to keep the peace. These aren't isolated moments. These are patterns, and patterns are predictable. And predictability is a weapon someone else is using against you. There are 3 primary leaks that make you an open book: neediness, predictability, and emotional transparency. Neediness is the easiest to spot. It's the speed of your response, the eagerness in your tone, the way you light up when someone gives you validation and dim when they don't. Your emotional state is tethered to their behavior, and everyone can see the leash. Predictability is the rhythm they can set their watch to. You always text back within 5 minutes. You always say yes when asked for a favor. You always get defensive when challenged. You always withdraw when hurt. These patterns become the algorithm people use to manage you. Emotional transparency is the real killer. You wear every feeling on your face. Every disappointment, every hope, every wound. You think it's honesty, but what it actually is a roadmap. A roadmap that shows people exactly how to get what they want from you. Here's the psychological mechanic at play. When people can map your behavior, they can manipulate outcomes. They learn that if they do X, you'll do Y. And once they have that equation, you're not a person anymore. You're a tool in someone else's narrative, a predictable variable they can control. The cost of being readable is this: you become an NPC in your own life. Someone else is running the script, and you're just following your programmed responses. You think you're making choices, but you're really just reacting according to pattern. And here's the hidden benefit you need to confront. Being easy to read feels comfortable. There's a temporary safety in being known. When someone can predict you, they can give you exactly what your nervous system wants. The right amount of attention, the right words at the right time, the illusion of being understood. But that comfort is a prison, because the moment you become predictable, you lose the ability to surprise, to challenge, to command genuine respect instead of managed tolerance. Your transparency isn't making you more loved. It's making you more controllable. Let that sink in. Unreadability is not an act you perform. It's an internal state of self-containment that radiates outward. You can't fake this. People can smell performance. What they can't read is someone who genuinely doesn't need to be read. The first pillar is resolving internal conflicts so your external presentation is unified. When you're at war with yourself, When part of you wants connection and part of you wants independence. When part of you craves validation and part of you resents needing it, you leak. You leak through inconsistent behavior, through the gap between what you say and what your body language screams. Internal conflict creates readable patterns because you're constantly negotiating with yourself in real time, and people can see that negotiation happening. The pause before you answer, the slight change in your tone when you're forcing something, the way your energy shifts when you're overriding your actual preference. Unreadable people have done the internal work to resolve these splits. They know what they want. They know what they value. They know where their boundaries are. And because there's no internal debate, there's no external tell. The second pillar is detaching your emotional state from external validation. This is the hardest one because your nervous system has been trained since childhood to regulate through other people's responses. You learned that being good meant being approved of, that being safe meant being liked, that your worth was determined by how others received you. Unreadability requires breaking that conditioning. It requires building an internal locus of validation so complete that other people's reactions become interesting data points instead of emotional earthquakes. When someone's approval doesn't spike your nervous system and their disapproval doesn't crater it, you become unreadable because there's no visible reward or punishment system for them to exploit. The third pillar is cultivating a rich internal world that doesn't require an audience. Most people are readable because they're empty. Their thoughts are surfacely void reactions. Their emotions are borrowed from their environment. Their sense of self is a composite of how others see them. When you have depth, when you have a complex internal landscape of ideas and reflections and standards that exist independent of external input, you stop broadcasting. You stop needing to be understood because you're already in dialogue with yourself. The validation you need, you generate. The meaning you seek, you create. This is the shadow truth nobody tells you. People can't read what isn't there to be read. When your emotional state isn't dependent on them. When your sense of self isn't performed for them. When your internal world is self-sustaining, there's nothing for them to map. Your void, your self-containment, is what they're trying to fill, and they can't, because you're already full. The practice here is moving from reaction to conscious response. Reaction is automatic, predictable, readable. Response is chosen, deliberate, controlled. When someone says something that would normally trigger you, the unreadable move is to pause, to feel the impulse to react, to acknowledge it internally, and then to choose whether and how to respond based on what serves you, not what your nervous system is screaming for. This internal work creates the foundation. This is what makes unreadability real instead of performed. Now for the external expression. The internal work creates the foundation. Now for the external expression. Strategic ambiguity is the principle of controlled disclosure. What you share and when you share, it becomes a deliberate choice, not an automatic reflex. Most people operate on full transparency mode. They answer every question completely. They explain their reasoning unprompted. They fill every silence with their thoughts and feelings. Unreadable people understand that information is leverage, and leverage is only valuable when it's not freely given. This doesn't mean being secretive or evasive. It means being selective. When someone asks where you've been, you don't owe them your entire itinerary. When someone asks how you feel about something, you don't owe them your complete emotional inventory. You choose what serves the interaction and what serves your boundaries. The power move here is breaking pattern recognition, introducing calculated variability in your responses so people can't build reliable predictions about you. Sometimes you respond immediately. Sometimes you take hours. Sometimes you're warm and engaged. Sometimes you're neutral and brief. Sometimes you share personal details. Sometimes you deflect with humor or redirect the conversation. The key is that there's no consistent pattern they can use to decode your state or manipulate your behavior. This is where most people fail. They think being unpredictable means being random or chaotic. It doesn't. It means being internally consistent, but externally variable. You know exactly why you're responding the way you are. They just can't predict which version of you they're going to get. The power of the pause cannot be overstated. Creating space between stimulus and your reaction is what separates reactive people from unreadable people. When something happens, when someone says something provocative, or tests you, or tries to get a rise out of you, the pause is your weapon. That pause communicates something profound. You're not controlled by external triggers. You're considering, you're choosing, and that consideration, that visible moment of internal processing before you respond, makes you impossible to read. Because they can't tell if you're hurt, indifferent, amused, or calculating your next move. Mastering non-committal language is the art of the neutral, non-reactive response. Instead of yes or no, you say maybe. Instead of explaining yourself, you say, I'll think about it. Instead of defending when accused, you say interesting perspective and move on. These responses give nothing away. They don't confirm. They don't deny. They don't engage with the frame someone's trying to impose on you. But here's the critical difference between being cryptic and being composed. Cryptic is try-hard. It's performing mystery. It's saying vague things to seem deep. Composed is calm. It's having nothing to prove. It's being comfortable with silence and comfortable with not being fully understood. Cryptic people are still seeking a reaction. They want you to be intrigued by their mystery. Composed people genuinely don't need you to figure them out. And that's what makes them unreadable. The absence of need. Here's the warning you need to hear. This is not about manipulation. It's about choosing when to be known. There's a profound difference between withholding to control someone and withholding to protect your sovereignty. One is a game. The other is self-respect. You're not trying to confuse people. You're not trying to make them chase you. You're simply refusing to be an open book that anyone can read and exploit. You're moving from being an open book to being a library that requires a card. And you decide who gets that card and when. The result of this work is simple. You stop being a predictable variable in other people's equations. When you're unreadable, the entire dynamic shifts. People can't run their usual scripts on you. They can't press the buttons that used to work. They can't predict your reactions or manage your responses. And that forces them to engage with you as you actually are, not as the pattern they've mapped. The new dynamic is this. People engage with you, not your predictable patterns. They have to pay attention. They have to actually listen. They have to meet you where you are instead of where they expect you to be. The ultimate control is the power to choose when and how to be understood. You're not hiding. You're not performing. You're simply complete within yourself. And that completeness means you don't need to be deciphered to feel whole. The internal shift is the real prize, from seeking to be read to being complete without it. Unreadability is the ultimate form of self-respect. Stop asking to be read. Start choosing when to be understood. The work begins inside. Subscribe for the frameworks to build that foundation.